Pinhole Camera by William Skeens. My question was, can I make a pinhole camera with only household items? I was interested. I was interested because my family has a long history of photography, as my father studied photography and videography at Wright State, and my grandfather has art in his photography at the Chicago Art Museum. Naturally, this project just felt interesting to me. Independent/dependent variables. The independent variable is the materials used to construct the pinhole camera. Abstract. In recent decades, the modern camera has been driven drastically in price due to the many digital commodities that come along with it. The purpose of my experiment was to build a much more refined type of camera, pinhole, that cuts down cost to nearly a fraction of a modern camera. To do this experiment, I made a darkroom and collected the necessary materials, then created a pinhole through a thin metallic layer. Taped it to a box. Next, I blacked out the inside of the box so that it was void of all light. Finally, I brought the camera outside of the darkroom and tested multiple exposure times to obtain the best results. After the photos were taken, they were brought back to the darkroom completely sealed during the trip and underwent the developing process. Overall, I was able to construct the camera, and after some failed trials, I obtained the best exposure time out of the 6 that were tested. The best exposure time turned out to be the shortest at only 2 minutes. The outcome of this experiment showed I was able to adequately create the camera meeting the desired qualifications. Another outcome of this experiment was the proven ability to take pictures and develop photos with the camera costing below $10. Background information. Pinhole cameras are the oldest documented type of camera. They were once used by Leonardo da Vinci. It was once a large room with a moderate-sized hole on one end. It works by light shining through a small pinhole, and then the film/photosensitive paper absorbs the image. It was first created 6,000 years ago. The final image will be reversed. It was first invented by the Greeks, and the true name for a pinhole camera is a camera obscura. Hypothesis. If I try to build a pinhole camera with only household items, then it will be able to capture photos to the camera's structure. Materials. I will need a box, light-proof, a pin, photosensitive paper, which will later be used as exposed film, an X-Acto knife, aluminum foil, a red light, a darkroom, a developing tape, and tape. This chart shows the exposure time per photograph in the following slides. On photograph 1, even though with the smallest exposure time, the teddy bear's basic structure can be made out. The lack of light surrounding most of the photograph is caused by the pinhole being too small to let enough light in. Photograph 2, nothing can be made out. It's mostly a blur. This could be caused by an excessive amount of movement on the table the camera was placed on. Photograph 3, a door frame can be made out, and a picture frame can be made out. Despite that success, an overwhelming dark line can be seen on the right side of the photograph. I do not know what could have caused this. In photograph 4, a door frame, picture frame, shelf, and the top of a piano can be made out. Despite all these being visible, the main subject, a teddy bear, could not be made out. This could be due to a lack of light entering the middle. Another fault with this photograph is the blue drops around the photograph. This is most likely due to a mess up or defect in the developing process. In photograph 5, the teddy bear's basic structure can be made out, along with a door frame in the corner and a picture frame. The lack of light surrounding most of the photograph could be caused by the pinhole being too small to let in enough light. On photograph 6, it is mostly a blur, and almost nothing can be made out. This blur is most likely due to an overexposure, overwhelming light from being taken outside, or a combination of the two. Discussion. My hypothesis was partially proven correct in the sense that I was able to successfully construct a pinhole camera. But taking photos proved to be much more complicated than suspected and did not line up with my background information. I expected the photo taking process to be smooth and quick, but upon the experiment, I found that creating the darkroom and the rest of the process was quite timely. Some possible sources of error would be botched construction of the camera, the pinhole being too small or too large, errors in the development process, overexposure, and unexpected motion of the camera. Some limitation in my research could be the inability to view research papers with a paywall. Another limitation could be that I did not search on trusted websites and platforms that I should have. If I were to take this experiment further, I would do many things differently. First, I would document any failure points of the project. Next, I would try to eliminate all failure points and do further research. Once all steps are completed, I would repeat this information and build a new camera. Commonly asked questions. What is one way you would make it better? One example of this would be identifying potential failure points, such as the black streaks on each photo, and eliminating the cause. Another question is, what is photosensitive paper and how does it work? Photosensitive paper is a thin paper-like material coated in chemicals on one side. Those chemicals are then used to imprint a picture on the paper that can only be viewed when the paper is fully developed. What did I learn? Well, I learned that I discovered a deep interest in photography as a hobby. I also created a revised version of the Pinhole camera used in the project, which eliminates many of the failure points from the previous version. Listening to and reviewing my science fair project.